Welcome to Comic Lab number 35. We're going to be talking about inking in this video. We're going to be using a fine point Sharpie marker and a ultra fine point Sharpie marker. If you have a marker that's not a Sharpie, that's thicker, and maybe even a ballpoint pen that is thinner than the thicker marker that you have, that works too. It does not have to be Sharpie. This is a technique that comic book artists often use, but non-comic book artists also use this technique. You're going to first draw your image with a light pencil sketch, and then you're going to trace your image with different weight lines. Let's say that I'm making a drawing inspired by The Balloon Dog by Jeff Koons. First, carefully observe your reference image, and then very lightly start sketching in the parts. Here's the torso. Make sure you draw big, but also not too big so that it goes off the page. Think about your composition. Where do you want each thing to be? So now I have the basic shapes of my image. Then look at your reference image again and very lightly shade in parts that you see some shadows. Usually shadows are going to be towards the bottom of your shapes. It does not have to be exact. Just look at the overall shapes. So now that you have your sketch finished, then you're going to switch to your thicker marker. With your thicker marker, you're going to carefully outline the shapes that make up your image. And sometimes the lines that you trace end up not being the lines that you drew with your sketch, and that is okay. Inking is similar to tracing, but it's not tracing exactly what you had necessarily. It's more about looking at your sketch and deciding where the actual line should be. If you have a Sharpie marker or something similar, then one trick that you could use is if you use the tip of the Sharpie marker, you're going to get a thinner line. If you put it sideways or diagonal, you're going to get a thicker line. So that is one way you could get some different line weights as well. Line weights are the thicknesses of the lines. So now I have my image traced. After that, you're going to switch to a thinner marker or even a ballpoint pen, something thinner, and then you're going to make some marks where you see the shadows. You can make it exactly like your reference picture if you want to, or as an artist, you can make your choice to change where the shadows are too. That is a choice that you can make as an artist. So now I have my balloon dog shaded in, but if you look at the reference image, you should find areas that have a little bit of a darker shadow. Those are called core shadow areas, and that means it's the darkest part of that picture. So if you find some core shadow areas, what you could do is to add some marks going in another direction. This is called cross hatching, and it'll make that part of the picture look even darker. When you finish shading in your positive space, that's the picture that you drew, then think about the negative space. That's the areas outside. So I have a little bit of a shadow that I see right here, so I could do the same. Starting with going in one direction, then switching directions to add some cross hatching. You could even cross hatch in a third direction to make it extra dark. So here we are. Now you can see that I made a little mistake there. Remember that you can always turn your whoopses into wows. How about if I turn that dot into some lettering? Sharpie marker or other markers are great for exploring lettering as well. So maybe I will So there you go. That's an example of turning a whoops into a wow. When you're finished sketching and inking, the next step is coloring, which will be explained in another video.